Because I just go. As a kid, my folks used to say, my mom, he doesn't like to go to bed. He's scared he's gonna miss something. And I'm like that in business. Like honestly, most nights, I don't feel that I've earned the right to go to bed.
Ooh. Ernie, appreciate you joining me today.
Pleasure to be here.
I didn't give you any questions ahead of time. That's on purpose.
You did not. Okay.
That's on purpose.
Okay with that.
We're just gonna have a conversation, me and you. I'm not gonna ask you any anything that's not off the cuff or whatever. So
I can take those two.
you can take the hard hitting.
I can take those.
Okay. So I'm gonna give you. I'll start with just hard hitting, difficult, nitty gritty question.
Yep.
Is pineapple an acceptable pizza topping?
No.
Damn right.
No. There you go.
Damn right. That's the answer it should be. But did both of our guests today say yes?
Say yes.
Couldn't believe it.
I think that's probably a cultural thing.
Probably.
We grew up eating not pineapple.
No, the texture.
I have one for you.
Yeah.
Sugar in your grits.
Yes.
No, absolutely not.
But it gives it a sweet flavor.
Oh, Florida, Alabama, Georgia. No, that's
Oh man. But I grew up putting sugar in Rice Krispies too. You know?
I do that. I do that.
Stinks to the bottom. You get
Exactly. That last little bit.
That's right. Okay. If there was a movie about your life, who's playing you?
Oh man, that's a great one.
Nitty gritty, hard hitting.
Well, man, I would have to go with a hot brand, somebody. So, and I would say either LL or The Rock.
Those are great.
That's
The Rock. That's a great.
One of those two.
Yeah. All right. So, talk to me about the idea to go into business for yourself.
Yeah.
And why you decided that in this particular area you were gonna start your business here.
Man, that's actually a great question, which people don't typically ask me, because it's a good question because I actually, kind of cut my teeth, learned the business in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Okay.
So when I graduated from UF, I went to Dallas 4 years, then Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay.
And then transferred back here in corporate America. And when I decided to start my business, I intentionally, because we actually wanted to move back to Dallas.
Oh, you did?
My
Okay.
wife and I wanted to move back to Dallas. We love Dallas. Great place to live. However, as I looked at what it took and what it takes to launch a construction company, I looked at kind of the path that I had been on since my childhood.
Yeah.
It just made more sense to do it here, to do it in this area from a relationship standpoint, from a name, just a brand, personal brand standpoint, having gone to the University of Florida, having played there, in some of those relationships and some of the doors that could open for me.
For sure.
I intentionally decided to start it here instead of moving back to Dallas and starting it. Yep.
So when you started, you made the decision, and that's courageous in and of itself, right? Because most people get a 9 to 5, and that's cool.
Yep,
That's cool for some
absolutely.
people. But when you decide to bet on yourself, you're giving that security away, that guaranteed paycheck or whatever. So talk to me about the first month. What was that like?
Yeah. Well, that's another great question for a different reason. My launching of my business was unconventional.
Okay.
Because I started the company back in 2007 when I initially moved back. I wanted to get my construction license. I knew I had the vision. I had the vision since I was in college. I went corporate America. When I was in corporate America, I had a very successful career. Got a lot of early promotions and kind of got sidetracked. I thought that I wanted to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. I worked for one of the largest builders in the nation.
Okay.
And so in corporate America, I got caught up in the lifestyle and in the things that being a corporate executive, so to speak, or a high-level manager could provide. And that was the trajectory. I kind of put my vision to have my own business to the side, and I started kind of chasing that. Then the bottom fell out of the market.
Sure.
08, 09, laid off most of our team. I was back here in Sarasota. And to get back to your question, I took a job with the school district of Sarasota County, managing construction for the school district as what was best described as an owner's representative. And I took that job at almost the same time that I launched my company. So I launched the company as a side, as kind of, hey, this is my vision.
Side hustle, right?
But nobody died and left me money.
Right.
Construction company is very, very capital and credit heavy. And so unless you have finances in the bank, you have long capital, you can't get bonding, you have to hire, you have to have staff. And so I kind of launched, I started working for the school district when I launched my company. So my school district hours were 7 to 3:30. And I had never worked that few hours in my career ever. I was always a grinder, late nights in corporate America. And so I figured, I said, well, they expect 7 to 3:30. That gives me another 6 to 8 hours that I could run my business. And so that's what I did starting out. So I would do my school district duties by day. I would go coach my kids in football or cheer, whatever my daughter was doing. I coached her, and I didn't coach cheer, just to be clear. I coached her in other stuff. But my son, football, basketball, whatever, go coach them for a couple hours, then go back to the office and work on my company, or go do a side project doing work. I do it after hours, middle of the night, and I was actually doing stuff myself. Like I break tools out. Yeah, because you have to get your portfolio developed somehow, and I couldn't afford to hire people, and it were small projects. And I say that to say I did that for 15 years. So I didn't leave the school board contract until my business was at 20 plus employees, and we did over $20 million that year. Wow. And that was just over a year ago. Wow. So I managed the day job. It was most 100-hour weeks, 80 minimum, 80, 100-hour weeks, all-nighters, weekends, just anytime. And
love it.
So to answer your question, as far as like the security, what I did first is it was a big step because it was comfortable, because my school district role allowed my home to be taken care of, so to speak. And my wife's a teacher; she works also. And therefore, the money that the construction company would earn, I was able to put it back in the business, or hire, or invest it back in. Because again, nobody died and left me a construction company.
That's right,
Construction companies are usually generational, and I didn't have that generational foundation. And so, as I worked by day and worked the long hours, and when I finally made that decision, I knew it was time. I'm a Christian, and a couple pastors in my life, my pastor at Light of the World, the church that I attend, and then my second church, Love First Christian, both of those pastors told me, they were like, you'll know when it's time for you to leave the school board. And it happened. Like I knew when it was time, I knew I left, and I put myself on payroll first for about 8 months so that we could feel it as a company. So we felt what that was like. And then I departed, and it was peaceful, man. It was like, it wasn't anxiety. It was very peaceful, because I could finally just completely focus on being an entrepreneur. I didn't have to change the hats. I didn't have to work 2 different calendars. And so that was a huge
2 different
step.
calendars, you're right.
Oh yeah, I used to run 2 different calendars. I'd literally manage 2 different calendars, 2 different emails. And so it wasn't only the time stress, it was the mental stress. The mental stress. So, but I learned.
I bet during the process you learn a lot about what you're doing, and about yourself.
Yep.
I worked a full-time gig, not for as long.
Yeah.
But I worked at the Goodwill, and I did overnights, midnight to 8 a.m. And then
there you go, hustle.
Up in the bathroom, and then run my business for as many hours as you can, right? And
absolutely.
You run out of gas or whatever.
That's right.
You do what you have to do to keep the dream alive.
Absolutely.
And I wish more. The way that I started was unconventional as well.
Yeah. Okay.
But I feel like, even though it was hard work, like, 16, 18, 19-hour days, whatever, I feel like I had the goodwill in my case to pay rent.
Absolutely.
And to put food on the table.
Yep.
And so coming in to run my business, while it was stress, I knew that the bills were paid. I wasn't making, a ton of money, but minimum wage, I knew the bills were paid. And that took at least some stress off of the start a business on your own type deal. So grateful.
It's funny because I had a good friend challenge me when I was still with the school board several years before I decided to leave. And, he challenged me and said, well, you won't really know what it's like until you leave the school board, because you need to feel that extra stress, extra pressure as an entrepreneur, which I understood what he was saying.
Yeah.
But the nature of my competitiveness, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't need the stress of having to pay a bill because I'm not chasing money anyway. I'm chasing a vision.
Right.
And so some people say, well, you can't really go until you leave your. I didn't really feel that. I was already like hot pursuit, chasing a vision. Like, there's no more pressure. There was no more pressure. Actually, I felt less pressure when I left the school district because it was a stress relief.
Yeah, less stress.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes sense. Going and being, an operator.
Yeah.
You'd break out the tools and do projects yourself.
Yeah.
So now, how many employees now?
We are at 20, just over 20, low 20s.
Okay.
24.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have two different companies, the commercial plumbing company, which we have about 11, 12. And then on the construction side, we're at about 16.
Okay.
Like that.
So now you're leading men and women.
Yeah.
It's different. It's a different hat, and we change our hats a lot of times.
Yeah.
But like, what was the biggest struggle for you in changing from being an operator full time to a leader?
Man, not much. I think there are certain people that were just born to do certain things, and I've just always led. Whether it was high school, college, football, fraternity, church, corporate America. God has blessed me with not just putting me in position to be called to lead, because a lot of times you have to be called to lead.
You do.
And I'm one also that I don't need to lead from a position. So I think that leadership is a gift. Leadership is opportunity, and it's a challenge. So I say that to say that the transition, just because I've been in so many leadership roles throughout my career in various things, I just do what I do. And most of that is just led by vision. God's put a calling on my life, have given me visions in community and business, family, and that's what drives me. That's what wakes me up. That's how I'm able to lead.
Yeah.
And people, most people will buy vision. Most people will buy vision over compensation, over security, whatever. And so leading is it doesn't come hard for me.
Yeah, you can convey that vision.
Absolutely.
People will buy in. I forget which mentor of mine I got, more than a few.
Yeah.
That we'll always talk about not talking about the destination so much and more talking about the journey.
Man, I've always that's one of my sayings.
Yeah.
It's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
About the journey and enjoying it.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
If you can convey that to other individuals, then they're going to jump on that train and
absolutely
come
along. Absolutely.
That's leadership.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Of all the hats that you have had to wear and you still wear, what's your favorite?
Man, I love to coach and mentor.
Yeah.
Like I love to try to find in the individual folks, try to find where they're trying to go, what their passion is, what they're calling, and try to help them get there.
I love it.
It's a passion, a pleasure, but it's also a pain.
It can be.
Sometimes, what I'll find, particularly in our industry, you want it more than they want it.
They got it.
And I tell my kids, like, if I have to wake you up to work out, if I have to tell you, if I want it more than you, we're not chasing it. Because sooner or later, that's going to reveal itself. Sooner or later, you're going to max out. If it's my passion, if I'm having to push you. And it's taken me longer to develop that with my employees or with people in the community. I can't tell you how many people, Mr. Dubose, I want to be like you. I want to do this. It's like you pour into them and it's like, you say you want to do it, but
talk is cheap.
You're not willing to, willing to do what it takes. And so, but that's still my passion, man. And every time my team mess with me, because every time I say, I'm done. I'm not wasting my time on people. They're like, nah, yeah, you will. Because it's what you do,
It's what you do.
It's what you do. So That's the hat I enjoy wearing the most, like mentoring and coaching.
I relate, the same here. Kind of something that spawned from my time at the Goodwill. They were really big on like pushing you where you wanted to go.
Yep.
And so when I worked there, they let me bring my laptop in and like run my business.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Yeah.
So the bell would go off and I would go sort stuff and take donations and stuff like that. And I would sit back down and work on my business. And so in my business, I only employ mostly people who want to be an entrepreneur. Or want to start a foundation or want to, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I'm checking in with them.
Yeah.
How you progressing toward this goal. How, last month you said you were working on this, working on that. How'd that go? Things like that. And I enjoy that the most. And I try to tell young folks like, it's not about the money. Because the money is real good when you really, really, really need it.
Man.
But it don't have the same mustard on it.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Goes on.
My thing is I've never chased money, man. Yeah. I have and I told my team, and I'm hesitant when I say it because I don't want them feeling like they can't talk to me about money, my employees. But I never once in my corporate career or work in public sector asked for a raise. I never once asked for more money, never once. If we have a plan, if I make what I make and we have a bonus, I'm gonna ring the bell on the bonus because I'm gonna do what it takes to win. I'm not gonna ask if we sit down and you give me a raise, I'm gonna expect that you value me for what it is. And I don't mind making the money on the bonus. Like that's just me, I'm competitive. So I never once, 9 years in corporate America, made more money than I ever thought I would make that young in life. And then even public, I never asked for money and I never chased money.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I compete, if I execute, if I achieve, the money's gonna come.
It's gonna come.
It's gonna come, man. Yeah.
But what else can you chase, right? Like if you set your sights on something, the money will be there.
The money will be there.
Just keep doing right.
Absolutely.
Keep doing your best.
And I try to tell people, I have young people, man, that will, particularly in the point of their career, that first 10 years in construction, especially, it's about getting experience, valuable experience. Yeah. It's about mastering the position you're currently in. And I'll have guys trying to do side jobs and trying to hustle, do stuff. I'm like, if you simply take whatever time you're doing, going, putting some flooring in for somebody or trying to hustle, if you take that same time and you dedicate it to the project that I have you on, you dedicate it to the things that I've told you to study and to master when it comes to construction management, that money that you're chasing, you'll exponentially out earn that. Yeah. But it is so hard nowadays to get people to understand that. Because it's about the instant gratification, lack vision.
And they see, especially in this area, like
social media,
and then they see
living above your means too. You see somebody social media living above the means.
You see their representative.
Yeah,
you don't see the real them.
Exactly.
Like that ain't
you see the stuff, and you feel that you got to make it now so that you can post and stuff. And it's like, man, people people don't understand. My wife drove my kids' cars so I could grow the business. We carpooled. I had a Nissan Titan that was a 04. I literally drove it about 2015. It conked out, left me on University Park. I drove it till it died.
Yeah.
People are like, man, once you get a new vehicle, you can. I'm like, no, I'm growing a company. Like I have to make sure I can grow payroll. It's not important.
The lifeblood of the business is cash flow. Why would I fight that off to have a nicer car?
Exactly.
This one works.
Yep. And it's timing. I drive a Hummer now, but
it's nice. Timing. I saw it.
Yeah. Timing. But it's timing. They don't see that. Somebody may see that.
Yeah.
But they don't see the years that I had. I went my whole household. We went probably 12, 15 years with no car payment. Yeah. Like not a car payment. So again, people don't see that.
No.
You can do what you do now because of the sacrifice.
Kobe talked about like everybody sees the
exactly
game-winning shot.
They don't see the 4 a.m. workout.
They don't see the 4 a.m. workout.
Yeah.
They don't see the two-a-days. They don't see that stuff.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurs, at least on social representatives, they don't talk about it.
They don't, man. And that's kind of it's the good thing about social as an entrepreneur is you can freely promote your brand.
Yeah.
Financially free for the most part. The bad thing is people don't see, they only see what you want them to see.
Right.
And there are very few influential brands that allow people to see the grit and allow people to see the nastiness of what it takes to do what you do, man. It's a double-edged sword. You know, the good thing is, again, social media allows you to promote, you know, you don't have to.
You learn.
Yeah, you can, absolutely. But it doesn't show the grit. It shows the glamour, but not the grit.
Yeah, for sure. Talk to me about routines, because in your industry, you're talking about early mornings and late nights. You a morning guy? You an evening guy?
I'm a late night guy.
Okay.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm a late night guy. I have to be a morning guy to an extent of just our days typically start at 7 on a construction site. And my team is up and going on site wherever by 7, typically office folks by 8.
Yeah.
But so, you know, that's about the extent. In the morning I get up when I have to meet the day. At night, man, I still some nights won't go to sleep. But if I'm in bed before 2, 3 a.m., it's special. It's a special night. So yeah, I'm a 2 to 4 hours sleep per night.
Man. And good? Good?
Yeah, I mean, I have to be, because I just go. As a kid, my folks used to say, my mom, he doesn't like to go to bed. He's scared he's going to miss something. And I'm like that in business. Yeah. Like, I never, like, honestly, most nights, I don't feel that I've earned the right to go to bed.
Oh.
I just don't feel like I
feel you've earned the right.
Some nights, nothing wrong with my wife and my relationship, but some nights I'll sleep on the couch for a couple hours because I don't feel like I earned the right to go to bed. I don't feel like I accomplished what I need to accomplish. That's something on the table. So I'll get a few hours of sleep, wake up, go back at it, or get a few hours of sleep, reset my day. But man, that's just my mentality is like, I need to feel a sense of achievement based on how I push myself. And that's it. Like, if I don't feel I deserve to go to bed, I don't go to bed. I'll either stay up and keep working through the night, shower, shave, and reset my day, or just try to take a nap and keep it going.
What are you doing at 1 a.m.? You working?
Man, so typically during the day, it's meetings.
Yeah.
It's meetings and people. Meetings, people, and problems.
Yeah.
And so because on the business side, because of the way I lead, and then I also have my community leadership. People, I'm very accessible to people. Mm-hmm. So I have that side of I'm on the phone with people, trying to help somebody trying to mentor. And then I'm a dad. I'm a dad. I have 2 adult kids, but I also have a 12-year-old that plays highly competitive baseball. Yeah. So, and I'm a husband. So between all of that, the daytime, it's not my time. And so the wee hours is when I'm reviewing financials. It's when I'm returning emails, returning texts, looking at forecasting and kind of vision setting. That's my time. Like there are 2 times that are my time. When I'm working out, I'm not dad, I'm me. Yeah. I'm that old dude, that football player. And then like wee hours of the morning when it's me and my computer, my monitor, and I'm zoned in. My phone is not ringing. Nope. You know, the distractions are gone, and that's when I can get the most done.
It's the best times. Yeah. You know, I work in the evenings as well. I'm an early riser.
Okay, yeah.
So, and I need about 5.
Yep.
And not necessarily to function. You know, I think 2, 3, I could get the job done.
Function. But it's not healthy.
It ain't healthy. Yep. And I probably, pleasant to be around, for my wife.
Right. Gotcha. Yep.
But, so I'll get up at 5:30, something like that. And then get home, dinner, hang out, whatever. Husband, father.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And then, now I'm going to crack that laptop and get some stuff done because it's when I can focus. The phone's not ringing.
That's right.
The emails aren't coming in. And I can kind of play catch up a little bit. And it's funny, I always think, I'm in a good groove here, just another couple of weeks. And I won't have to.
Never that.
And then a couple of weeks later, I say, I'm in a good groove here, another couple of weeks. I won't have to sit up late, but I won't stay up too late, maybe 10, 11.
Yeah,
Gotcha. I try to get in bed before midnight, and probably should be in bed earlier than that. But any like specific morning routine you have to do anything?
I don't. You know what? I don't. Other than devotion, I typically do my devotional with Tony Evans or is my go-to or someone of the sort. But my Bible, devotion, gospel music while I'm getting ready.
Yeah.
I try to start my day in prayer, even if it's just a 5-minute prayer or if it's 20-minute prayer.
Yeah.
I try to wake up in prayer, go into my devotional while I'm getting ready, just preparing my mind to like deal with it, to attack the day the right way. And then routine from there, I don't have routine when it comes to day. Like I might work out. Last night I worked out at 1 a.m. So I got to the gym about 12:30 a.m. So I worked out for an hour and a half, 2 hours, went home, did some work, got to bed about 3:30, 4. I might work out this evening at 9, 10 if I work out.
Yeah.
So I say that where my routine, I'm not first of all, in all my DISC profile, personality profile is D, dominant, and then I, influential. Okay. Those are my high. My S, like steadiness, is way down. Like I love change.
Really?
I don't like routine. I love change.
Okay.
I used to have to force myself when I was in the field and managing construction.
Yeah.
I would have to force myself to do the certain routines to be successful as a construction manager. There are certain things that I have to force myself to do now. Routine, review financials, do certain things. Yeah. And my team is good about like, hey, we really need you to do this. Hey, we really need hey, I blocked off the calendar. We're going to sit down with you.
That's all.
This stuff I don't like to do that it needs to be routinely done. But man, I don't get, my personality is like routine opposite. There are certain things that I do that I have to do for health, for life, spiritual routine. But other than that, I'll shift. If I feel I'm doing something monotonous, I'll change it up just to change it. Just to change it, man. That's just my personality. I love
get
change.
Excited by change.
Yeah.
But I am more deliberate and more successful when I'm structured. Like I know that about
absolutely
myself. And I think it's cool that we're attacking it slightly differently and still able to so no matter where you're how you're doing it, you can make it work. But you got to be self-aware enough to
but you know what I have in wisdom, particularly in business, what I figured, I said, God made me who I am, and I'm probably not going to change. So the routine tasks that need to be done that I should be doing, let me find someone else to do them. Because I know I don't like them.
I don't want to.
Because I don't want to, and it may be a financial sacrifice, or maybe, but man, because I would say, okay, I'm going to do it, and I do it for a certain amount of time, and then so I hear you, like, but there the things that require routine for us to be successful. I try to put those on other folks.
They got to be done.
Yeah, because I know exactly, and I try to focus on the things that I'm great at, man. The relationships, the mentorship, the leadership, the strategy, the vision.
I love it.
That kind of stuff.
Love it.
Yeah.
We started something recently where we're asking the guest before you, what question should I ask Ernie?
Oh, interesting.
I'm going to ask you to ask a question to our next guest, whomever that.
Okay, whomever?
Whomever it might. I can't tell you who it is.
Okay.
So with that said, looking back on your time, is there something you wish you had done back when you started?
Business?
Doesn't have to be. Could be personal, could be business, whatever you think.
Business, I can tell you, and this is a lesson that I try to tell entrepreneurs, particularly those who are in our field. Business-wise, I wish I would have hired a financial person minimum 5 years ago.
Interesting.
I just fired myself as the CFO. It'll be a year in June.
Okay.
So last year, I hired a financial person. It was the last thing that I relinquished, so to speak. And he has helped our company tremendously. Wow. Because number one, I didn't like doing financials. Number two, due to routine and things like that, they were always behind.
Because it's the same.
Because exactly.
Yeah.
Routine and doing it.
Right.
And it's like, man, so I say that to say that I wish I would have done that at least 5 years sooner. And I give that advice to entrepreneurs. Like, get a financial person on your team that can have your financials. Because for us, it's so key because of bonding, mainly because of bonding.
That.
You've got to show financial, not just capability, but financial organization, financial wherewithal, in order to get financing, increase lines of credit, get bonding.
And then get
and for so long, we just did it on hustle and cash. You know, I'm like, just cash flowing and just, hey, making the ends meet.
Yeah.
But as you grow and as you start to get larger projects, you have to, as we've grown, you have to have bonding. So that's one thing business-wise that I would say. I don't have too many, man, I've lived pretty well from an experience standpoint. I've experienced most of what I want to experience. So not really anything that I wish I would have done on the personal side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regarding your two companies, you know, anything you want our audience to know about those companies or how you treat your customers, things like that?
Yeah. So, you know, the basis, the foundation, and I tell people we are a Christian-led company, but we're not a Christian company, meaning you don't have to be a Christian to work for us, and you definitely don't have to be a Christian for us to do business with you. I am a Christian. I'm the leader.
Likewise,
therefore, we're a Christian-led company. So the values the values that our mission has put on kind of our focus to be in business is pride, people, reliability, integrity, dedication, and excellence. Right. And so in construction, in our world, it's about relationships. It's about doing what you say you're going to do. And a lot of times it's not dependent on us, it's dependent on the subs. So that gets hard at times, but we break our neck trying to make sure that our subs execute. It's about integrity, you know, telling your client the truth, being honest, being open, particularly with dealing with such large projects and the financials on those projects. Your client has to know they can trust you, and trust you're not trying to hide something or get over. So we're, you know, on the construction side, we do construction management. We work on projects as large as we're about to build a USF football stadium. We're partnered with Manhattan and H.J. Russell on that 3-way partnership. Pye Airport, that terminal, and then we do building churches. We do school work. So we have a variety of work that we do on the construction side. On the plumbing side, we're commercial plumbers, so don't call us about a leak. We do healthcare, a lot of healthcare, K-12, hospital work, doctor's offices, public work, collegiate work on the plumbing side. So, that's business-wise.
I love it. I love it. I love what you said. You defined integrity. You know, oftentimes I see people say these are our core values. Integrity.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? And I've always thought it meant what you're saying, saying the hard things.
Absolutely.
You know, being transparent.
Absolutely.
Whether it's positive or negative, like being transparent.
Man, we are so much about transparency. We will meet their people I've met with, and we're honest with them up front, whether it be, hey, this is the real budget, hey, this is the whatever, and they go away because they don't like what we said. But a lot of times they come back because they go to somebody who told them what they wanted to hear, and they find out it wasn't accurate. They come back and say, you told me that it would be X amount, or you told me that it would cost this, and they got me in the door. They told me it'd be $3 million, but it was actually $5 million, or what have you. So yeah, that's important.
I love it. Love it. All right, last question. What should we ask our next guest?
A question I like to ask folks in a chair like this is, if you had all the money that you could spend, would you still be doing what you're doing today?
Ooh, that's a good one. Mark it down.
That's it.
Would you?
Absolutely.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love
it. Now, I'd hire more staff, and I wouldn't be pulling all-nighters, I'll tell you that, because I'd go steal some of the best construction folks from around the country, but absolutely, still be doing this.
There would be signs.
Same thing. Yeah.
That's what, my wife asked me, like, what would you do? Would you tell everybody if you hit the lottery? No,
exactly.
There would be signs.
There would be signs, exactly, yeah.
Cool.
I agree.
Ernie, thanks so much.
Hey, my pleasure, Chris. Appreciate you, man. Definitely.